Title 42 is set to expire in less than 24 hours. The president of Guatemala is now warning that 80,000 migrants are headed to the southern border right now. Here's what President Biden and his administration said about the expected surge of illegal migrants coming. Watch.
Is the United States ready for the surge of people that's going to come across the border starting later this week?
We're doing all we can. The answer is it remains to be seen. It's going to be chaotic for a while.
We believe we have a robust process to deal with what is going to occur after Title 42 lifts. Again, we're using the tools that are available to us because Congress refuses to do their job as it relates to the border.
Top border officials are already authorizing mass migrant releases for border facilities over capacity across all Border Patrol sectors. One Fox News border source says, quote, the dam is about to break. Let's get into it right now with National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd. Brandon, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks so much. I know that you have your hands full with what's about to take place. Can you assess your expectations when Title 42 is lifted?
Yeah, when I look at what Karine Jean-Pierre and President Biden say, it really makes me extremely upset. Every single agent right now is extremely upset because we have no idea what their plan is. They have not given us any indication of how they're going to deploy us. They haven't told us what the operations are going to be. They haven't told us how we're going to deal with the cartels. They have given us absolutely no information on how we're going to deal with this. So when they say that they have this robust plan, we don't even know what that plan is. All we know is we're going to be inundated with thousands of migrants every single day. We're not going to have the resources to deal with them. We're not going to be able to deploy our agents on the border to go after the cartel, to keep the American people safe. We're extremely upset that this administration has known for over 2 years that this was going to end, and they've done absolutely nothing. I spoke with the transition team for the first time in December, and I told them that this was going to happen. We warned Secretary Mayorkas during his confirmation process that this was going to happen. We told them they needed to put plans in place. We told them we needed operations, and they did absolutely nothing. And now we're going to feel all of the repercussions of their inaction.
Well, I mean, they actually did the opposite, right? I mean, they started to change all the policies that were in place on week one when Joe Biden entered the Oval Office. He stopped the border wall production. He reversed remain in Mexico and all the other policies that Trump put in place. That's why the Border Patrol Council is criticizing the Department of Homeland Security, announcing a targeted enforcement operation. That apparently took place yesterday in El Paso to remove or detain migrants. The Border Patrol Union wrote on Twitter this: nothing like publicly announcing that dangerous people will be arrested while warning them ahead of time exactly where to run and hide to avoid arrest. This entire operation is a sad joke, another pandering PR stunt. Serious law enforcement leaders don't behave this way. Brandon, what are they doing? In other words, they're telling people exactly when the arrests will happen so that people leave and go hide out?
Yeah, Maria, when I wrote that tweet, I was beyond upset. I could not believe that activism has now taken over law enforcement. I couldn't believe that this administration would tell these individuals that we're about to come after them. There could have been a great many criminals that had a long rap sheet that now knew that they needed to run and hide. And that was crazy to see that they were going to put our agents in harm's way, notifying the public where we were going to be, when we were going to be there, so that they could then come out if they were activists that were against law enforcement. It was extremely dangerous what this administration did to warn every single person when we were going to come, how we were going to come, and not allow us to do the job to protect the American people. And that's what we've seen from this administration constantly. It's par for the course, knowing that they would rather pander to activists than protect the American people.
So, Brandon, we're talking about what, 5-6 million people already apprehended on Joe Biden's watch, 1 to 2 million gotaways on top of that. Cities and states across the country are all scrambling. The state of New York, the city of Chicago, both have declared a state of emergency ahead of the end of Title 42. New York Governor Kathy Hochul's emergency orders apparently will activate 500 National Guard reservists and speed up $1 billion in aid. In Chicago, Lightfoot's declaration is authorizing emergency money and asking for help from the Illinois National Guard. We've got this new video showing migrant families sleeping on the floor of Chicago police stations, Brandon. Walk us through exactly what happens. You and your team are there every day watching these people come across the border. They come across the border, and then what happens? How do they get to big cities?
So the first thing is that the laws are not being enforced. And here's exactly the process. When somebody crosses the border illegally, we take them into custody. We take them back to our processing centers. We process them for deportation, but then we release them into the United States. They go to non-governmental organizations. They then facilitate the transport throughout the entire United States, whether that's Ames, Iowa, Topeka, Kansas, New York City, Chicago, Bangor, Maine, throughout the entire United States. That's where they're taking these individuals. When they get there, oftentimes they have absolutely no place to go, to stay. So now they're sleeping on the streets. They're going to police stations, sleeping in police stations. But the crazy thing is again, our laws say that if you're in the country illegally, you shall be removed. Yet this administration completely ignores those laws. That's why there's so many lawsuits. That's why there's so many states that are stepping up and trying to do the best that they can do. You know, I look at what Governor Greg Abbott is doing, and I applaud everything that he's doing to try to keep the people of Texas safe. Not just the people of Texas, but the entire United States, because he's trying to actually keep these people out. He's doing the job of the federal government when we should be stepping up and doing everything that we can.
And there's a cost to all of this. They're getting a lot of benefits, including, I guess, a free cell phone. So that cost is going to fall on the back of taxpayers. U.S. taxpayers ultimately will pay for this. And then there's the national security threat of we don't know who a lot of these people are. We know that there's a massive amount of fentanyl and illegal narcotics coming in. But what about those people who have been found to be on the terrorist watch list? What are their intentions?
Yeah, when you look at what's crossing the border, when you look at the flood of fentanyl, when you look at all the United States citizens are dying because of the hard narcotics that are coming in, then you look at the criminal aliens, then you look at the aliens from special interest countries. We're not just apprehending people from Mexico, from Central America. We're apprehending people from around the world. We're apprehending them from Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Iran, Syria. We're apprehending people from everywhere. This includes people that are on the terrorist watch list. And then the dangerous part of border security, when you look at the 1.4 million people that have entered the country illegally and evaded apprehension, we don't know who they are, where they're coming from, what their intentions are here in the United States, but we will fill it down the road. But this administration continues to not care. They want to pander to open border activists rather than doing what's right for the American people.
Wow, so you think that the gotaways are up to 4 million, Brandon?
No, 1.4 million,
1.4 million on gotaways. Brandon, this is just such an incredible story, and it keeps happening. Just real quick before you go, I know that when I was at the Rio Grande sector, we were talking about 8,000 people coming across illegally every day. What number is it going to be after Title 42 goes away, do you think? How many people a day are you going to have to deal with there at the border?
When you look at right now what's already staging in Mexico, we're looking at potentially 16,000 people a day.
Wow.
And let's put that in perspective. Once we hit 5,000 people, we don't have the resources to deal with it. It goes up to 16,000, and the cartels are going to completely control our southwest border.
Well, they are already making billions of dollars in the process. Brandon, thanks very much for all of your work. We will be there with our cameras. You know that. Brandon Judd joining us this morning.
Thank you, Maria.
sir.
Appreciate it.